All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Summer CS Qualifiers. If you're just joining us, you missed an incredible Game 1. Really chaotic, really exciting to watch 6-10. Misfits and Melty going head-to-head, and Misfits, of course, coming out with the win.
Really fun game. We saw a couple of new things, a lot of the same, but some more fights. It's like 50% extra more fights. It's good.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think at the end of the day, some new mid-lane itemizations, a little too much cooldown reduction itemized at one point, but
so in fairness, Ica tweeted me and was just like, you go CDR reduction for the summoner spell reduction for the boots for the TP. So there is something in it. We'll figure that out if we see it again.
All right, let's set our sights on our second match. It's SK Gaming and Tricked Esports going head to head. That SK Gaming lineup, pretty impressive. We've got Rune in the top lane, the new Korean import, Cesar in the jungle, Suno in the middle lane, and then Vardags and Unlimited rounding out this roster on the bottom side of the map.
Now that means we've had 2 new additions from the SK team we saw in spring. For me though, after watching SK in spring, I don't know whether it's really enough. When you look at the SK lineup, they had a pretty lackluster split. Didn't really get the results they needed until right at the end of their regular split games. And Suno from that mid lane, he had potential, but he was very hit or miss. Twisted Fate was a very good pick for him, but outside of that, we really didn't see a whole lot else, and I need him to step up if SK want to do well.
And there's a lot of, I think, unknown factors here, and we look at SK Gaming. From a team that competed at Worlds in 2014 to now being in the CSQ, I think pressure on the individual members, pressure on the organization, that's a lot to deal with, especially in what is just day 1 of a 5-day group stage coming in here.
Yeah, not only, you know, Worlds contender previously doing well in LCS, I think one of the most surprising things for me about an SK organization and where they are now is, you know, you only have to go back a year or 2 years. They had SK Prime as a second squad in Challenger dominating. And now they're in a situation where their main roster aren't even guaranteed for Challenger for the summer split. I mean, SK right now, it's kind of a bit of a sad story. Let's see if they can get themselves back up onto form, but they're going to have to bypass you know, Tricked Esports on the red side. Let's take a look at their lineup. In the top lane, it's Fin with Brosar in the jungle, Cassadar in the mid lane, Rhea is the AD carry, and Fiddle in the bottom lane.
And of course, these guys winning out in Ragnarok to get here, the Nordic qualifier, and they are a mostly Danish team. We have seen a few roster changes since we saw them last, but overall, maybe trying to follow in the dream plan of Splice, you know, get in the full national team, maybe the plan of Giants, the full Spanish team, right? So a lot of national pride here once again from these regional qualifying teams, and you know, played some pretty interesting stuff over the course of their time in Ragnarok.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Protect the AD carry compositions coming out from them. We'll see if they can emulate a little bit of what Melty did in the last game, but maybe actually have a bit more of a victorious setting from it. We'll see whether they opt for that Caitlyn. But there's so much focus on bot lane, and with now the focus of the game being bot side of the map for Dragon, maybe that's going to benefit Tricked. A very interesting set of circumstances as we come into that with how Tricked play and the new patch. How's that going to mesh? In my mind, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm wondering if we're going to see more more of the reworked mages coming into mid lane. That's obviously where my sights are set, because those are the changes that are the clearest. We can theory craft about lane swaps. We know how jungle appearance works, but if there is one thing that is slammed right in front of you, it's that Malzahar, completely different, right? And obviously Malzahar's been taken back, so maybe not the best example, but even in those small changes, as we are now getting into Champion Select, we're going to have to see how they adapt to what actually hasn't been changed and what's been affected by the itemization changes, what's been affected by the fact that maybe lane swaps aren't as good anymore.
There is a lot of questions you threw my way. Oh, we've got a new... Okay, so while it wasn't a major update, there was a major update for Veigar when you look at what he actually got as a benefit from it. Veigar changed that now anytime you hit a spell, you get extra AP. Not in this game. He's banned. He's out of there. I guess Cassadar's been spamming him in that circumstance, so not today.
Not going to see this one. Echo taken off the table. Nidalee and Ryze as well. So once again, mostly standard bans. We had the one unconventional ban of Fizz last time around. This time it looks like it's going to be the Veigar. But additionally, Lucian taken off the table. So you were talking about bot lane priority, and now we're seeing it a little bit in pick ban phase, because Lucian banned out. Not something that we saw the last time around. And I'm, target banning here to make sure that Tricked can't get these comfort picks.
And this isn't too surprising. Kindred's up. That would be my first guess as first pick when you look at just general meta. The Lucian ban particularly was a pick that SK played a lot with Vardags. It's one of the champions that's in his champion pool, but on the same time, if Tricked on the other side like to play Protect the AD carries, Lucian's pretty good on that. Very forgiving, but has a lot of damage as well. The problem is SK against a lane bully bot lane always fell behind. And now Tricked could look for a first rotation Caitlyn if they can find it, and maybe look to build themselves a platform from there.
Well, they have that option. Picks have been passed over to them, but SK have opted to first pick a mid laner, Azir, a champion we saw taken off the table in our last picks in Bance, and now immediately locked in once available here on the side of SK Games.
So I like the Azir, but you basically have said take Kindred. And if you're playing a Protect the AD carry composition, Kindred is still fairly good with the utility from that. Also provides a secondary source of damage coming out. Isn't going to opt for it.
Interesting pickup here. Braum Graves, the quick response. Graves, we saw how powerful he could be in the hands of Maxler.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if they can step up the same way here on the side of Tricked Esports. And Braum as well going to be locked in. We talked a little bit about swapping to the more range support meta. Morgana not working out so well this time around. Not opting for a healer. Instead, sticking with the classics here. Braum instantly picked up for Tricked.
Well, it's another good way of protecting an AD carry. It's another support that works that way. If Tricked still want to go that way, we may see a pivot from that if SK now go Caitlyn here. Oh, lock it. Please, I want to see what everybody has said is OP.
We got 20 seconds. Let's talk. Okay, so Elise, once again, the response to Graves. We saw this jungle matchup last time around. Wasn't quite as effective against Max Lore. Do you think SK can maybe put the Elise to better use?
I mean, Elise is a very interesting one in this circumstance because Kindred was available, and Elise was known as the tier underneath. So obviously, Cesar not feeling 100%. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I know. Don't even you try it, and I really
It's
respect
fine.
you for trying to finish your point. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first competitive Taric lock-in since some horrible mistakes at the start of last year's EU season. First reworked Taric repick. Got it locked in for SK Gaming. Let's talk about new Taric.
I'm going to cover you. First European specifically Taric lock-in. There's probably one that happened in CB LoL. I know they were playing on 6.8 with Taric. So it's first time we're seeing it here. What does Taric do? Well, he's got a multi-person stun that can come out. He's got invulnerability like Kayle. We'll see it as we go through the rest of the game, through the laning phase, through the team fights. We'll see exactly how that works. But Tricked, they've changed the game. Yeah. It's all changed with these two picks.
And instantly we're seeing Gnar and MF locked in on the opposite sides. They're not even going to give us a chance to breathe. We're going to wait.
Okay.
We're going to wait on SK. We're going to shift attention to Tricked. Maokai, Sivir locked in. We've got essentially the Sivir dream comp. We've got champions who want to run at you, champions who want to nail you down. What is the final pick coming in here for Tricked? What should they look to get? What do they need?
They could always look for the Orianna that is just quintessential in a Maokai composition like this wombo combo. You get the Sivir and you run at people. LeBlanc would be another one if they wanted to play a matchup into the Azir. Also have assassination potential. The problem is you're now up against a Taric who is pretty much good at not letting people get burst, even though his ult does have a channel time. A very surprising set of lock-ins. I have to talk about that from SK. We were not expecting either of these champions really to come out of Misfortune or Gnar when you look at the lineups of what is being played. Gnar previously has been a good matchup into Maokai. This game is going to be crazy. Misfortune is a team-fighting AD carry, not at the top level of what we've expected from AD carries, but the team fight potential coming out of SK, you look all the way down the line, apart from Elise, will have the potential to fight.
I'm struggling to contain myself, and I apologize, because you're doing such a good job of being professional, but, I mean, there's a Vlad in this game, there's a Misfortune, a Gnar, a Taric. I'm really excited about it. And you can see SK putting together a team-fighting comp of their own. You've got the Gnar, you've got the potential with the ultimate to just throw people into the wall. You've got the Taric for the vulnerability. But on the opposite side, Vlad, a champion with we talked about Veigar as a major change to how he plays the game, but Vlad actually got a major rework, almost a completely different champion in how he plays now.
Yeah, Vlad is ridiculous when you look at his potential. Doesn't always get that far. A lot of people are complaining about maybe Vlad in some situations too difficult to make work in team fights if your new Tides of Blood gets blocked. The charge. It is going to be a scaling kind of team fight mage right now for the last piece of the puzzle for Tricked. So again, not protect the AD carry. They're playing for all-in aggression with the Sivir, with the Maokai, run at people and try and fight in the skirmish.
I'm not going to lie, as a play-by-play caster, this is pretty much the dream for compositions. I've got two teams who just literally want to beat each other nonstop. They're going to have to hold off, I think, till they get their ultimates, unfortunately. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see them fight over each and every single dragon or Rift Herald in this game.
I'm so surprised by the Misfortune. Like, into Maokai as well. You're basically hoping Maokai isn't in Twisted Advance range to cancel your ultimate. And if he doesn't, you just win the team fight by bullet timing
Very
people.
true, and it's, untargetable, unstoppable, essentially, when he does that Twisted Advance. So there's not really a whole lot Azir can do to prevent that one, or Taric with the stun, and Good skin choice, Unlimited. Armor of the 5th Age, as fabulous as ever on the reworked target. I love this. We've got the 2 beefiest dudes in League of Legends paired with probably 2 of the most seductive skins in League of Legends, too. So it's a nice... We're serving everybody here in the bottom lane.
Oh, this game is going to be nuts. Like, this is going to be... Both teams have gone well. What we're going to do here is we're going to just try and team fight, and whichever one of us has more people left standing at the end of the team fight is going to win the game, basically, because that is everything. It's not going to be about disengage. It's not about tower pushing. None of these things. This is just literally 2 people going to run at each other for the next 60 minutes if it ends up going that long.
It's everything I could have wanted, and if you're just joining us, it's SK Gaming on the blue side, Tricked Esports on the opposite side against them, the winners of Ragnarok. That come into this tournament, and this is our 2nd game of the day here in the EU CS Summer Qualifiers. You can see, once again, doesn't look like either side is opting towards the lane swap. Just some standard lanes coming out here, and a little bit of BM. You know, a good way to start. Let people know that you're feeling confident, as Elise 100% confident that Graves cannot kill that ward in the early game, and so dropping it right in front of him.
Still surprised, though. Although I guess maybe this... Maybe this sheds some light on why they didn't want the Kindred. Perhaps that is why. So that Caesar wouldn't ult on Kindred and basically save everybody during bullet time.
Yeah.
But I still feel like Kindred is just the stronger pick.
And I think even with the nerfs coming in on the patch, a lot of people were eager to counter out completely, but Lamb's Respite is still such a strong ability and still gives you exactly what you need. However, as we're focusing on that, Unlimited is focusing on interrupting this jungle clear as best as he can. He does a lot of damage in this early game. Doesn't manage to get the camp, though, and MF, meanwhile, in the mid lane, so a lot of early damage dropping on the side of Tricked.
Yeah, at that point, Vardags was helping Caesar take his Krugs. Now Vardags gets to the lane. There is Rhea getting that level 2 on Sivir, so we'll have the Boomerang Blade and the Ricochet available.
Already coming down, looking for the stun. They're actually going to get it. Vardags getting burned through. Ignite has to drop so early on, and Tricked, you know, taking a lot of damage, but coming out on top in the Summoner spell trade.
I was expecting Rhea to maybe take the extra damage, but very smartly takes the spell shield because of how telegraphable the, if that's even a word, the Tarek stun is going to be. It has the animation indicator, the line that you're going to see come out from Tarek, and then it will lock. It is not an instant stun, so easy spell shields are going to come out from Sivir. I like the little play at level 2 just to get the lane advantage this early on.
Yep, and still now starting to play even further forward. Unlimited barely going to hit level 2 here as we move forward. Spent a lot of time in that jungle trying to shut people down. Missed out on a decent amount of experience, and the rest of the map, though, I think a little less exciting. Gnar pushing in as we expected, and junglers just clearing out in a pretty standard fashion.
But the difficulty now for the Sivir and the Braum is they're going to have to deal with a lot of the harass potential that's going to come out from Vardags. Unlimited is going to have a heal on the Tarek as well as a shield that's going to go on whenever he uses his W on him. So Vardags should be in fairly safe hands right now, so should be able to trade back the harassment. Doesn't matter too much that Rhea got that level 2 early. And that bottom lane may end up fairly neutralized mid lane. Ooh, just pools.
Again, just making it on out of that one, no problem. Just going to do his best to heal up off these creeps. Now, we talk about the dragons a lot. We can see on our screen that it is that Cloud Drake spawn once again. Do you think with these team fighting compositions, this will be more of a priority in the early game?
I mean, honestly, the dragon being Cloud Dragon, I don't think is going to be the priority, but mid lane... I don't think it's going to be the reason for the priority. I think it's going to be an opening where somebody tries Dragon, is likely to just open up a team fight, and because it's Cloud, they'll probably back away before the team fight actually starts. If, for instance, SK just start it, get it low, and then both teams are there, they probably won't fight, because it's not worth dying over.
I see. They want to fight,
yeah,
not
exactly.
because the dragon is amazing.
If the fight is good,
they want
they'll
the fight.
Yeah.
I see, okay. And I think that's a decent way to approach the game, and you can see both sides pretty content to farm up. Once again, we're only 4 minutes in, and Ruin actually playing incredibly aggressive here on the top side. Finfin not looking comfortable at all. And Gnar versus Maokai, kind of the old school top lane matchup.
Yes, very old school. I think back to days when Smeb would play Gnar into Maokai and absolutely destroy the lane and then crush the team fights. Now the difficulty in Gnar into Malphite comes from building up the Mega Gnar bar. Because, sorry, Gnar into Maokai.
Yes.
Because when Maokai TP's in, he's always going to be able to do the same thing. He's always going to be able to engage. He's always going to have damage reduction. Whereas Gnar, if you TP in, you don't have the rage built up. So difficult to have the impact in the team fights. A lot more 50-50. So we'll have to see how that opens up as the team fights actually start. Stun didn't land, and the spell shield was out anyway, but now they burned the spell shield. Maybe they can utilize that.
Yeah, very small window to capitalize on, but we've seen how easy it is for these good bot lanes to really pull out and capitalize on those 1 or 2 second windows. But the jungler is just continuing to clear out, both on the top side. Graves is spotted out here, wants to punish this very aggressive forward push, but Elise is ready to respond, and they may be looking to force a fight here on the top side. SK, pretty ready. Gnar, not a whole ton of rage. This man has no fear. He took so much damage there, but he just runs up, hits him with a couple extra boomerangs, and now they're finally going to find a stun on the bottom lane. But once again, both sides, I think, just testing each other's limits.
I'm not sure why Ruin would just stand in the return of End of the line, though. He kind of lost a lot of health, but not a lot.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little over-eager to be like, yeah, he's got no fear, when really it's just like, okay, really he should have just sidestepped
maybe you should have some fear.
Yeah, fear is an important part of... Fear is a good survival instinct here. Gnar moving forward, not going to find this knock into the wall, though. Is going to use the boulder toss, or the penguin toss, rather, in this case. Dish out a lot of damage, but Fin more than happy to just heal up under tower.
Yep, will be very happy to. Not expecting any kind of TP plays out into other lanes from the Gnar, and pretty much the use of the ultimate will confirm that for now. Just throwing it out, trying to get the damage down to throw Fin back, just to open up the opportunity for Ruin to TP back as well. Bottom lane, a bit of a trade, but again, Taric has the heal. Brom's going to have the Relic Shield as well, and the ability to block. So fairly even bottom lane, no team really looking to push forward on the harassment train. In mid lane, we haven't mentioned it much, and that is because we're into a farming lane. It's Azir versus Vlad.
Yeah, we call it a major rework, but remember that, did a good job of trying to keep his core identity intact, which is really just... Let's farm up. Yeah. Let's gear up. Let's get some items under our belt. And actually, Kassadar moving forward on this one does have the empowered... Oh, not going to use it. The empowered Q will come out, does a little bit of extra damage, a little bit of extra healing, but Vlad already comfortably at full health in this laning phase.
But importantly, one thing that Tricked will have that SK don't is the ability to put Kassadar in another lane. Obviously running that teleport on the Vlad, whereas Azir, as everybody knows, and we saw at MSI, so reliant on staying in mid. Can't really force him out to another lane, so there is the option of Tricked playing on the 3 lanes where SK are playing on 2, so a lot of versatility. But the thing is, we talked about team fights. If there's a team fight started by SK before Tricked's teleports can come through, they will have the numbers advantage. They should be able to take the fight fairly easily.
Yep, and they have the advantage of exhaust in the late game for whatever member is strongest. So TP really got to make the most out of that map advantage when you can. Graves trying to make the most as he pushes into the jungle. Level 6, has the red buff. Just trying to poke out here, get a little bit more aggressive. We didn't talk about this, but the jungle timers, of course, on this patch will let you know when those buffs are going to respond, so you know when to invade. And On the Hunt going to get burned here, looking for the stun. They are going to find Vardags. He's going to move forward. He is going to bust out, not using the ultimate quite yet. Bullet time. Ooh, they're trading back and forth, but no damage is going down on either side here.
Well, on that one, Fiddle just says, okay, you've got a multi-projectile ultimate. I'm just going to stand here with my shield and block that off. Not really anything more to say about that one. It's just always going to happen. If Fiddle can get in the way of that bullet time, if the Maokai can get through, land the W, Vardags is going to be pretty useless in fights because he's just going to have to try and run at people and get crowd controlled and probably die to the Vlad in the process.
Yeah, pretty scary prospect not to have any mobility options against this Vladimir, especially with how much damage he can do as you start to move further into the game. Of course, looking at the way the lanes have unfolded so far, not really too big of an advantage anywhere, although you can see slight advantages on the side of SK in both the mid lane, although Vlad will get some of that farm back, and in the top lane as well. But 80 carries relatively even. We're 9 minutes in. Gold is nigh identical, and despite the fact that Ruin is aggressive as ever, he hasn't really been able to shut down Fin's farming too well.
Yeah, he's a little ahead, but it's not anything really to write home about at this point. But Cesar going to take that crab, not really focused on the dragon, even though Cloud Dragon is one of the easier ones to take. Of course, each dragon has different properties when it comes to his resistance, the health, the damage it does, the type of damage, crowd control, that kind of thing as you're taking the dragon. So it is somewhat easier for a jungler to decide on Cloud, but bottom lane could be deciding to fight. No real option for the crowd control right yet. Vardax did have about an eighth of the ultimate cooldown still unavailable, so no real fights bot lane yet either.
Yep, still waiting. Really needs Braum to burn that Unbreakable before he can afford to use that ultimate. We've seen already how easy it is for him to just throw that one up, protect the AD carry, protect the whole team if he's given the opportunity. So we're waiting. We're geared up. We're waiting for the fights. Level 6s are coming out. Braum, though, may have overstayed his welcome. Finally burns Unbreakable, but Vardax also has the ultimate.
The thing is, no AD carry in this game is wanting to fight because they both have 3k in their bank right now. Stacked up to 98 CS before backing. Flash forward!
Oh my gosh, not going to get it. A great flash forward, but no aggressive moves there because in the end it's just a flash for a flash traded, but 80 carry for support.
Oh, but here comes Graves into top lane. Mega Knight is going to expire.
Ruin, you said he should have some fear here, and he does respect it in the end, just leaping out of that one. Maokai not able to stop that. No twisted advance coming through.
Yeah, Fin couldn't quite get the timing there. I was going to say couldn't quite find the timing on that one. As could have interrupted the jump, didn't choose to. At least here, oh, he's going to get Brosa.
Oh, Brosa moving forward, end of the line, going to come out, going to burn through most of those Spiderlings. But an even trade overall. Not a whole lot. I'm waiting. I'm like,
kill each other, please. Carries are buying. Look, they've just gone back. Vardax is going back as well. There's going to be like a BF sword, the Warhammer.
The 11-minute Cole, yeah, I mean, clearly we're geared up for a farming kind of game. What is the break point here? I thought it might be level 6. I thought it might be these ultimates, but what are they really waiting for on both sides?
Well, it's as soon as the bot lanes move out of bot. As soon as like somebody gets a tower down or that kind of thing, it's going to transition into extra fights. That is a Ghost Blade on Misfortune.
All right, you do you, Vardax.
Okay.
And the rest of SK apparently do Rift Herald.
So I've seen a lot of Ghost Blade Draven recently. I have not seen a whole lot of Ghost Blade Misfortune. I mean, I can understand, you know, you want the extra armor pen, you want the movement speed when you pop the active and that.
Oh, Maokai trying to throw Sapling in there to take that one away, but that will go over to the top laner, and now Trick responding with a Dragon of their own. So Cloud Drake finally going down, Rift Herald dropping as well, and we'll have to see if Ghostblade Misfortune can do much here, and it looks like they're not going to be able to contest this one whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an interesting one to pick up the Ghostblade. I mean, bullet time, as we know, during team fights is going to be the majority of the damage. So I'm now looking at Vardax and how he is going to play these team fights out. With that Rift Herald going over to Na, it pretty much gives him the lane dominance now of that top lane.
And you can see the bonus damage that comes through once you get 3 stacks and that corruption maxed out.
Whew, nasty.
Yeah, I mean, never really should a Gnar have a static shift, but if he's going to get it from Rift Herald, I mean, he might as well take it.
Sifa, welcome to EU Challenger Series, when Na buys random things, when Wicked buys Hurricane on Na, and has like a 3-0 record on it.
But this is Ruin, and he's going to buy Black Cleaver. Thank you. Please.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying, Black Cleaver was the beginning of the Hurricane Na build.
See.
It's fine. There's still time. All I'm saying is we've seen stranger things happen.
That's true. Shouldn't count it out quite yet. SK continue to push in on the bottom side, and the rest junglers continue to do their work, and we'll check in again on the CS here as Gnar's advantage, with the help of that Rift Herald, has continued to grow. About a 15 CS lead for him overall, and 10 in the mid lane coming in for Azir. So actually some small leads in just about all lanes for SK, really getting everything they need. Of course, giving up a little bit in the jungle in exchange, but more than happy to have their solo lanes ahead, I believe.
Yeah, more than happy to at this point. I mean, to be honest, SK, they, as I said, were kind of known for bottom lane not exactly being the strongest part of their lineup, but they've done a decent job in this one. It's going to be a lot more reliant on how they work together as a 5-man unit when they can get those engages. Again, mid lane we haven't really talked about too much. Suno opting for the Sork Boots on this one as well, has the buildings of the Nash's Tooth to go alongside it. So we're kind of just waiting still. I feel like the Rift Herald for Dragon Trade is in favor of SK in this situation, just because of what they're running with the Gnar top lane and the fact that it was a Cloud Drake. I feel like if that's Infernal Drake or Mountain Drake, maybe it's slightly differently. But in this situation, I certainly think that that is the benefit going over to SK.
Yeah, and of course, looking at the future spawn as well, I think the next one is going to be a Cloud Drake coming out too. So,
oh, no.
I mean, you're not going to have the opportunity to trade again. Of course, only one Rift Herald spawn, but potential for, you know, another fight, or maybe just people continuing to ignore the Cloud Drake. But they're looking to take this blue buff, and SK immediately running into the jungle and just burning that one down. But this could be the fight. Moving forward, Vlad's gonna use the ultimate Hemo Plague. Gets the ult on 2. Bullet time on the backside, though, doing so much damage. First blood for Tricked, but Ruin is in the middle of the team. He hops over the wall. Maokai cannot follow. Tides of Blood coming out, trying to make an impact there, but Tricked just gonna grab the kill and walk away.
I think Finfin and I were expecting him to go over the wall with Ruin right there, and if that had happened, Finfin probably would have been able to lock down a lot of the rest of the backline there from SK. You can see the potency that comes out in the team fights already, though. In that situation, Kasura had the 3-person Hemo Plague down and got the damage out. Let's check out the beginning of it again. So 3-person, there's the explosion that comes from Tides of Blood. Vardags is untouched, though, at the backline, and it means that Tricked had to run back and away. There was the interaction that I thought Finfin was going over, but Ruin, the animation seemed to complete just before he hopped over the wall, which is a little janky, but certainly Finfin didn't go over the wall. Vardags stayed alive, Suno stayed alive. And SK, they didn't get the kill, but at least they showed a bit of potency in that fight. Tricked come away with a 1-0 lead. And
both of these teams seem so strong when they can set up appropriately. You saw the Vlad Hemo Plague into all of that burst damage from Graves on the opposite side. Bullet time. Misfortune just holding back with those guns, just blowing up the team, dishing out so much damage. And I mean, when we saw so many team fights, as we see Gnar push in here, when we saw so many team fights at MSI, it was with these Soraka comps. They were so long and drawn out. But these team fights right now in this game on 6-10 with these new picks, with these interesting picks, are so explosive. It feels like, you know, instead of 30-second drawn-out team fights, it's over in 3 seconds.
There's one thing that I can tell you is going to draw these team fights out longer, Sifa, as we go later in this game. That's going to be Vlad, because as soon as he gets his items, as soon as he gets Spirit Visage, the Rallies, all that kind of side of things, because of the way he scales off health into AP into health, that good stuff, he's going to be unkillable the later this game goes. Perhaps even more so than he used to be, because now his ult, he just gets his ridiculous amount of health back if he hits multiple people with that ult. So certainly going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah, very oppressive. May have to look for a mortal reminder here in this game to shut down that healing from Vlad. Lock it out. But MF not quite there yet as we see the dive coming in. Finfin going to get thrown into the tower. They are going to burn down the tower. They're going to burn down the tree as well. And SK, that was a quick dive, but that is the power of Ruin bullying out that top lane, finally paying off.
Uh-oh. This was a rough situation for Broza in that bottom lane, but that whole top lane sequence is the product of the Rift Herald going down. I mean, the Gnar into Maokai matchup can kind of do that already, but nowhere near that impressive and that difficult to deal with up in the top lane. Bottom lane,
blocking out that ultimate from MF, but the Ignite's going to go down as well. Taric not going to move forward to make a play, but you know, you can see Tricked Esports just trying to make a response here on the bottom side of the map.
This is looking a lot better out of SK, though, when you take into account their performances in the Challenger Series. They very rarely were ahead and leading. And in this game, SK looking pretty confident. They've found themselves the Wombo combo team comp.
Yep. And there are a lot of questions, too, with this new roster. Of course, Ruin coming in, dominating his lane on this Gnar, and now trying to steal as much of this jungle away as he can. Don't think he wants to go toe-to-toe with the Graves quite yet, but on the hunt, burning in the top lane. They're ready for the fight. They have the 2.5 seconds of invulnerability. They're going to try to find a kill. In the meantime, they're flashing forward, but it's not enough. Vardags just popped in an instant. Braum is still up. Taric could be next. New Vlad, so much power, and that's 2 kills going over to Tricked Esports. Cesar is here, but he's not getting anything in this exchange.
Yeah, he's not getting anything. The rest of Tricked had to back away, though, because you could see how low Rhea was, so couldn't really go aggressive. That would have been a 3rd kill. Middle lane, there is a bit of an exchange from Suno as they swap places, but man, the damage that comes from Vlad. Wait, this isn't done.
Oh my god, they're moving forward. Suno may have overstayed his welcome here. Maokai going to move forward, but Ruin's there as well. Can they blow up the Azir in an instant? Suno needs to get out the flash over the wall. Collateral damage to take it, but Gnar's hungry for blood. He's got the red buff. He's going to have the Mega Gnar. Braum and Vlad are on the way, but I don't think they can get there in time. No, he doesn't get the stun. The flash out from Broxar. He dodged. A massive misplay. And now suddenly Gnar is in trouble, but they're just going to back off because in the meantime, Elise has taken the Cloud Drake.
Oh, the timing. That should have been a 2nd kill for Ruin. That absolutely should have been the additional kill. He even had his flash. If he wasn't sure he was in range, he could have flashed back. Okay, we're going all the way back to watch this damage come out. So here's the invulnerability, and you can see Kasura waits on his E to pop it, and down goes Vardags. Was not expecting to take quite that much damage from Kasura.
That's the burst damage we talked about, and we can... I mean, we saw it later, too. There's just so much power on this team on both of these sides. The Graves, the Vlad, I mean, the Azir, the bullet time from MF, the Gnar combo. And, I mean, really both sides trading blow for blow at this stage. And despite, you know, SK making better moves on the map to get the tower, and that's why they have the lead, but the kill's very much in favor of Tricked Esports.
And at that point, Vlad hadn't even really had himself a first item. Didn't have the rallies completed before. Now he does. So everybody that gets hit by anything that he casts is just going to have to try and run away from him, as he's basically stealing their blood from them, which is
I mean, that would slow you down.
pretty painful.
I don't know if you've ever donated to the Red Cross, but if you have, you know, you are not very quick after that experience.
So we should be back in just a second.
We're going to take a look at that replay. And you watch this one again, and this is one of that moment where I'm like, oh, he has flash. We're good. We're going to make it to safety. And then this is that Graves note button. You think Tom Kench is a note button? Graves is the note button.
We're back live, though.
Oh, Suna moving forward. Finfin suddenly in trouble. Don't think he's going to make it out of this one. This is a slow, systematic close. Moves into the Mega Gnar. Mega Gnar says, yes, please. Quick wallop to grab that one.
Very tough game for Finfin. When you look at it, he's had to deal with not only a tough matchup for himself, then the Rift Herald gets given over, and he's like, guys, can I get some help up here, please? And they're like, no, you're going to get 2v1'd again and again.
But Brockstar's going to try to steal this red, right? So there's your consolation prize.
I don't think it's worth, but okay. I mean, they're going to lose an inner tower.
I said consolation prize, not here's your retribution.
Yeah, they lose top tower for that. That is, Brozar has kind of not always been in the right place at the right time, is how I'll say it. Which, you know, it is difficult for a jungler to always be in the right place at the right time. So I'll cut him some slack, but certainly it has really hindered Finfin from his inability to be able to duel 2v2.
And maybe this is a Contra's choice coming in from Tricked Esports to just sacrifice their top lane here. They know Maokai doesn't need as much gold to be effective in those team fights, and just willing to try to put it elsewhere, trying to set that attention elsewhere. Kassadar, you're strong, you're not that strong. Suno with the quick 1v1, and I mean, just burning that guy down. Tower's going to drop next, and SK absolutely in the driver's seat now. They're taking objectives left and right at this stage.
It looked like Kassadar pathed into lane and maybe had a connection issue by the looks of it, just from the way he stood still. Which, when you take into account, like, he was moving into the lane, I think is kind of on Suno at that point. He kind of realized too late that the DC had come through and you reconnect, but unfortunately for Tricked in that situation. Oh, wow!
Bullet time. It's going to be enough. He can't block the Sand Soldiers. One last auto attack's going to do it. Is Fiddle going to go down? Well, Graves might, because Scissor is hungry. Doesn't have a way to get over the wall. Braum and Graves escaping with just an inch of their lives, and the tower dropping now for SK. Maybe it was a DC. Maybe just a moment of uncertainty, but either way, SK have taken it, and they're running away with the game.
They are running away with the game. Ruin right now has taken bottom tower as well. Nobody can stand alone against him in the side lane. We'll see whether Tricked can get this composition kind of running for themselves, because remember, they've got the Sivir, they've got the Maokai, they wanted to go aggressive, but neither has really been far enough ahead to consistently run. And look, SK taking another inner tower.
6 towers to 142.2k to 37.5. SK absolutely crushing this game, but Tricked are looking for a way back in. They say, Vardags, we know you don't have the movement speed, but Taric will give him the ultimate. Doesn't have bullet time available, will be invulnerable for just a few moments, but they're moving forward. The fight continues. Finfin trying to stop Ruin from killing the backline, but the Gnar moves forward. He's hungry for blood. Wallop! He gets it. He's on a rampage. 3 into the wall. Kassadar, he's trying to turn it back. The shutdown, and Tricked are going to walk away with the fight that they wanted.
That was Tricked throwing everything they had at SK. Double teleport came in behind. Great flash out from Vardags early on into a no vision area for Tricked. Meant that the Maokai couldn't follow to stop any kind of chase up. At that point, SK were able to regroup and then take the fight back to Tricked. They come out of it roughly even, maybe even slightly further ahead than they were, just from the pickoff that they managed to get from Ruin being able to do work. But still, Tricked threw so much in and did not get enough to turn this game around.
And I said it was the fight that they wanted, but at the end of the day, it was a 1-for-1 exchange, and honestly, I was completely wrong, because they get that kill, they get that shutdown. It's great to have that gold, but you can see what it's really worth here as they push forward. Don't get much else.
Well, this was the fight setup at first that Tricked wanted. Look at how it was all closing in on SK, but Ruin is so far ahead, he's already dueling 3 people at the top side of this fight. Manages to get himself 1 bounce into the wallop to get the kill, and again, is soaking up time. The rest of SK and making the decision here to back away. Vardax couldn't get himself close enough to take the fight, but still, they'd been able to take the fight. I'm noticing you pointing at bullet time.
No, it was
point.
seconds away from coming off
very
cooldown.
close.
If they had just I mean, if Trick had taken that fight any later, if they had teleported even 2 seconds later, bullet time would have been up and available, and MF would have just plowed through the team on the back of that 3-man Gnar ultimate. Trick have to be very careful how they play this. I mean, they got the angle that they wanted. They got the flank that they wanted, but it was still so risky, and you can see SK, they're not even concerned. The 5K gold lead's still in their favor. They'll take the 1-for-1 trade because they're the ones who got all of those towers out of it.
Yeah, they are, and we're going full armor shredding build for Vardax. He doesn't want to win these team fights solo. He just wants to make sure the rest of his team can win the team fights where Ruin can clean up and maybe get a couple of kills himself. I mean, Ruin is just going to chip that down.
Yeah, and now they're going to set their sights on their second Cloud Drake. That's even more out-of-combat movement speed. Once again, not the most exciting of the buffs, but now that they have 230 additional bonus movement speed, going to make it pretty easy to get where they want to go.
Yeah, it does now obviously give SK the very large potential to set up fights for themselves. Ruin's just going to do this to everybody.
This is the thing, you just can't run away from a mini Gnar. Like, the good news for them is that eventually he turns into Mega Gnar and can't keep throwing boomerangs. Oh, the flash ult. Just going to whiff that one out, and unfortunate for Ruin. He's trying to make a highlight reel. Doesn't always work out for him. Does have those clutch moments, though.
That's what we would put on a blooper reel.
Yeah. Well, we got 2 blooper reels, and we got like 2 highlight reel moments.
I'll give him the casters were always susceptible of doing this. It got flashed away from. It was not a miss. He got a flash.
Yeah, I mean,
it got dashed.
You say
out.
Casters, but you don't have to humor me. Play-by-play casters.
No,
we're like, yeah, he missed.
Hang on, we're all susceptible to it. We all have pitfalls. I know there's gonna be somebody that's like, it was still worth, and we know it's worth.
We definitely know that it's worth. And Ruin knows that it's worth because he still has that Rift Herald buff. And is still continuing to bully out any... I mean, you want a split pusher? You want someone who can duel anybody? You've got it. This Gnar is the person you asked for. Hand-delivered to you. 4-1-0, 245 to 206. Not only does he have 3 more kills than the Maokai, he has 40 more CS. This man, an absolute terror this game. And Broxar, he's on this Graves. He's got all this dueling potential, but not against this Gnar. Nobody can duel this Gnar.
No. Kassadar, I still don't think can because he's not actually itemized any armor either. So the fact that it's going to be difficult to actually stand in front of him. Kassadar also opting for Void Staff next as well, by the looks of it. So not opting for like a Zhonya's, nothing like that. That is going to keep him alive longer, relying purely on the ability to stay alive from his abilities, and the health he's going to get back from that. So interesting.
Yep. No armor options coming out from him yet, but we do have to, I mean, Rylai's Abyssal Scepter is one of a tankier mage pass you can take on the new patch. And little vision lockdown, though no Caesar is there. They have to be concerned about this Baron, but they also have 2 members on the bottom side trying to fight this Gnar, and it just doesn't look like a good time.
I mean, Kassadar showed now, so now they know there's 2 people down there. That's going to give away the top side of the map completely over to SK.
And you can see them taking it.
The plan seemed to be, at that point, okay, we'll take 2 people down there, Finfin goes in, Kassadar, you can deal with the Gnar, right? Didn't really work that way.
No.
So all they did was now lose vision control of topside and lose vision control of the Baron pit, which pretty much ends the game if SK pick that up. Because Gnar just goes over to the side lane and goes, I got Rift Herald, I got Baron buff, fight me.
Yeah, and no one can fight him. I mean, even without Rift Herald at this point, I'm pretty sure no one can fight him. And he's still got it. He's still got a decent amount of time on the buff, too. I mean, he's still got a couple minutes left, so it's pretty oppressive to deal with at this stage of the game. And Trick, I mean, good on them now. You can see them taking this vision back. SK not so eager to let it go for free, but at least they're not losing too much off that play. And Ruin, he's not taking any damage.
Yeah, Kassadar can't fight him either.
Oh, my gosh. There's no hope.
Oh, that's painful.
There's no hope to duel that, man. You need to say, this is the Trundle all over again. Why are there so many unkillable top lanes? Oh my gosh, but the Sivir is very killable. Bullet time. Barely getting into position. Ray making out his life. Fiddle. If he had been a millisecond later, that would have gone out. And this is one in a series of an entire game of close calls here.
But again, it's all they need now to turn around and at least bait the rest of Trick down into the Baron area. No blue trinkets available. You can see yellow trinkets still picked up for Kassadar because he was looking for a little bit of control over the enemy jungle as he was looking to push out. Blue trinket finds Brozar.
This is red buff's not what you want, dude.
Have they started Baron is the question.
Oh, no.
Nope.
Oh no, here comes Gnar. Emperor's Divide. Fiddle caught out, left alone, but he's going to get the ult on multiple members. Invulnerability coming in. Can they turn this one around? Kassadar, he can do a lot of damage, but suddenly he's the only man in the back lines. Ruin, though, keep your eyes on that Gnar. He lands the stun on one. Wall up onto Ray. Hey, nearly unkillable. Kassadar trying to get burned through. He doesn't have the damage yet, but Kassadar will finally drop. Tricked suddenly on the back foot. They're pushed out of this fight almost instantly.
And from an extended fight, Tricked lose 2, SK don't lose anybody, and could be looking to just juggle that aggro maybe here. Ruin thinks about recalling for a second. Bottom lane is kind of pushing in for SK. Oh, they're going to bait. Oh, there was a blue trinket available.
Broxar has to stay in the area. They're thinking that they just want to trade this for mid lane tower. They see him pushing now. They're going to move on to it. TP coming in. Graves, he's thinking about it. Braum, he's thinking about it too, but I don't think they're going to find the contest. We've seen crazy things steal Baron. Is it going to be the Braum today? Oh, not going to get it. Goes over to Elise in the end, but Tricked. They may be trapped, but they're going to get 2 towers here in the end.
Keep in mind, 2 Cloud Drakes right now. The extra movement speed if SK want to chase. Look at how fast they're gathering down through the bottom side. At a minimum, the recalls are going to get stopped here, and the rest of SK should be able to look for more objectives. Suno!
The soldiers didn't make it in the bush. He's trying to find the duel. He has to run, though. He has to run. Azir, he knows he's got the kill now. Quick pickup there on the Suno, but my God, just Tricked running out of options.
Sivir did manage to get out from that situation, though. So SK, they still have the Baron buff. They picked that one up. It is an Ocean Drake that is coming next, and will be able to take that one down. At this point, SK have themselves a Guardian Angel on the Gnar as well.
Yeah,
are able to stay alive.
Ocean Drake is just icing on this fabulous Taric cake.
It's quite wet icing. You normally just put seawater on a cake?
No.
No? Good. Otherwise, I'm not coming to your house for like brunch.
I was worried where you were
like
taking that. I'm glad we went seawater. But we're moving forward now. Ocean Drake will drop in addition to double Cloud Drakes. So if they do manage to grab the Elder Dragon, that is going to be one fast team coming in from SK. And they're already quickly moving towards ending the game. But they've got that. They've got Baron buff. And now it looks like Suno and the rest of the team may just set their sights on this mid lane.
May just set the sights. My Going Crazy was the first game also Cloud Ocean.
No, it was. I think it was.
Was it
yes.
Cloud Ocean?
No, it was. I think it was Cloud. Wait, was this? No, but except this game was Cloud Ocean. Last game was Cloud Ocean. Because this game there's been 4 dragons, right? Yeah. It was Cloud Ocean last game. It's Cloud Ocean this game. You gotta. It's like Bop It, man. You can't mix up the pattern. Or Simon Says. You can't just say red, blue, yellow and say it's the same thing when it's red, blue, yellow. And of course, I'm getting lost in useless game comparisons as the inhibitor will finally drop for SK. And this is the first step for them closing out this game because suddenly Kassadar in the middle of the team. Tides of Blood gonna say nope at this stage, or rather the pool gonna deny it out there. And now SK grouped up, ready to siege this one down as so much damage comes from that Azir. My God. Broxar.
Oh, wow. Broxar even just nearly dies just from walking past that soldier. I mean, there's really so little that Trick can do. Aside from a double TP fight, which Kassadar's isn't available. They're going to lose the inhibitor at least at this point. They have wards all the way through the lower jungle, so if they can get this fight started, they may be able to throw one last-ditch attempt at it, but I don't even think they have the power to do that.
Double TP. They're not even looking for it. Both members have left. They're not looking for the home guards either. Maybe hoping to flank Ruin out here, shut down this Gnar, take away this GA, but they're going to be able to make it out on the hunt burn, but the slow field is still there. Ruin is going to throw down the wall. 2 members stunned. Mini-Gnar will give him the movement speed steroid. Can Maokai get there? Isn't going to get the ult down, but here comes MF, and that is a lot of damage onto the weaker members. Ruin not even going to get the GA pot. Vladimir desperately throwing down the ultimate, but they're going to walk away empty-handed, and look at those health bars on Tricked. That is everything that they wanted.
2 versus 5 at that point. Ruined is able to hold them for long enough that Vadax comes in and with this completely armor shredding based build is able to just bullet time everybody down, and that means Trick turn themselves around and say, no, we don't actually want this fight anymore, just in case Suno comes from somewhere and just blows us all up. I mean, SK right now, all they've got to do is look for top lane. Yep. It's as simple as that. There's no dragon to take, no Baron to take.
And with an 8k gold lead, more dragons in their favor, Elder Dragon and Baron still pretty far away at this stage of the game, although, I mean, just not there's not a lot of options left. Tricked have to absolutely outplay here, have to hope for a mistake from SK, because at this point it should just be the calm and confident close.
Yeah. Also, I double-checked. You were correct. It was Cloud, Ocean. There will be a counter at some point.
Yay!
It'll come through. Don't worry. We will endeavor to keep you guys updated on the Drake buffs as well.
We'll give you the every 5 minutes check-in if you are just joining the stream. Because obviously it's very important to keep up with, and no longer does the 3 dragon indicator really mean much of anything in terms of effective combat stats. But it is Cloud, Drake on the side of SK and a single Cloud on the side of Tricked. And really the single Gnar making all the difference that they need, but they have that Rylai's. Ruin actually taken a bit of damage there, but not without cost.
If only Drake had some kind of hotline we could ring to find out what
oh my god.
buffs are on them.
Moving forward though, Suno suddenly caught in the middle of the team. They shut down the Azir instantly. They don't have damage and vulnerability anymore, but Ruin is in the back lines. He's the only one doing damage. They're so focused on the Vladimir. Ruin, is he finally going to drop? They're not going to get it. Tarek, the stun comes out across multiple members. Rojo still alive, moving forward. He's going to get the Gnar before the stun comes out. GA coming in as well. Flash forward, Vardex drops. They're looking to turn this one around. The stun, will it come out? Yes, it will, but Ruin is going to go down. Fiddle gonna drop as well. Azir picking up another kill, but that absolute bloodbath from both sides.
But Tricked are able to deal with that fight. They spent so much, SK spent so much on Kassadar to try and take him down early on in that fight that Sivir actually was able to output a lot of damage right now, past that 3-item mark, looking towards the 4th, and is able to crit her way through the fight. When we see the replay, we'll see exactly how much damage Rhea really did in that fight, and this was the setup. So, how much does Kassadar get? How much does he take when it comes to abilities? So, in goes Fin.
Down comes the Tarek ultimate, but not stopping that much.
Yeah.
Double ult from Gnar.
And this was Ruin. Now a lot of the focus from Tricked goes on to Ruin, but there's just... Vardex just has no damage right now that he's outputting because his actual auto attacks do fairly little when it comes to these fights. And that's the problem with building for a team fight build, is when it comes to actually auto attacking after your ultimate's down, if you need more damage, good luck getting it from somewhere, because you don't have anything like crit chance. You don't have any flat AD. And if you haven't shredded enough armor off, you're never going to be able to damage a big tank like a Maokai, even like a Graves or, you know, a Vlad that's starting to get there on being fairly tanky as well.
And you can see overall that the Mortal Reminder is a huge payoff. Ooh, contesting this Baron not be. We'll talk about itemization later because Baron really has to be the center of our focus. It's up in 9 seconds. Vision is coming out, and this could be the fight that ends the game. They have to contest this one. If they give it up, they will lose. They will drop that final inhibitor. But SK, not eager to pull the trigger just yet.
Not eager yet, but Baron has come up. It's still, you've got to imagine, especially in this situation, be way worth more than the Elder Dragon. Elder Dragon would just give them the, you know, the double on whatever they've had before. The plus 50% from getting Elder, plus the additional Elder Dragon buff. So there's certainly benefit to it, but the Baron buff is going to be way more important.
I mean, they would be so fast.
They actually would be.
And remember that they also get the additional true damage burn over time that 5th Dragon used to give. And Suno,
he's going to try and solo it.
This is the 1v1 that all MMO players dream for. And now you can experience it in League of Legends, although it's not going to be a 1v1 anymore. TRC are on the way in. They could look to turn this one around.
Stolen!
Oh my god, they're going to get it. They have the burn damage now. Can they turn this game around? They're moving forward. Ruin's on the backside. Can he get the ultimate? 3 members. Are they lined up? Only going to knock one into the wall, but Vlad is going to drop. SK are simply too strong. Broxar running for his life. Gets Wallop. Fin's next. Braum could be next, but SK don't even care. There's a TP in the mid lane, and they are geared up and ready to end this game.
Yeah, TPs come through. SK, even though they get rid or lose the Elder Dragon, Tricked overcommit to the steal, get it, but now we're going to lose the game for an SK after not having great games in the spring split. They're going to put themselves with 1 win on the board and a first step towards requalifying for summer.
And what a dominating performance from SK. Tricked felt like they were on the back foot. The moment that game broke open, you talked about this, it just seems absolutely almost like unfathomable how quickly that game snowballed out of control for SK when it started in like such a series of sloppy fights and exchanges. Really really crazy performance. SK have to be happy with that one, but at the end of the day, I think Ruin really making a mark for himself as the newest member of the team.
And the tipping point had to be that Rift Herald take, because it basically like goes 20 minutes of you win the lane. That's all we need.
20 minutes of you win the lane, you 2v1 in team fights, you show up out of nowhere and smack people into the wall, and it starts just with that CS advantage and just with that ability to bully out.
So we weren't completely sure how Ruin would affect the team, and the addition or the swap up of the top and jungle positions seemed to be a big benefit to SK from what they were and where they are now. Suna had a pretty good game as well on Azir. Vadix playing in the team fights was good, but we saw the limitations of the misfortune later on in the game when he couldn't get the ult out, or at least didn't get the damage down. But certainly, SK looking a lot stronger perhaps than we anticipated.
Yeah, and I think we really have to just... Azir versus Vlad was another big part of that, and we talked about Vlad potentially being a late-game monster, but we know at the end of the day, I mean, whatever patch changes come through, Azir is still the king in those late-game team fights. You saw how much damage he was able to dish out. You saw bullet time finally blocked by Braum, and it's just nope, Sand Soldier. Boom, quick in there, take those kills left and right. And Vlad, you know, has to jump into the middle of the team, but Azir has the safety. He can just, you know, command his minions, get in there, stab the people, make it happen. And that was pretty much every team fight for SK once they got the ball rolling.
We did see a little bit of potency from the Vlad, though. That bottom lane fight where he just like
pop.
Runs down, pops Vardags, runs away, gets another kill. Just still one of the new picks that we're going to see a little bit more of, I think. But we saw the potential. Maybe against not a wombo combo team, we might see a little bit more.
I think definitely an interesting champion, potentially a strong champion. We saw how dominant he was in the laning phase, and that was really cool, but question mark, right? Like, we know how Azir works. Vlad, I think we still haven't seen his full potential here.
No, we haven't. And there was a lot in that game that kind of changed focus, because we had the Cloud Drakes, which not really worth fighting over, but SK were finding the fights to actually take the objective after. So they managed to get those 2 towers in the bottom lane and then really run forward with the game. So that was one of the real tipping points.
And additionally, that final fight in the game, I mean, really just using the Elder Dragon as a tool to bait them in, which is what we thought they would use the Cloud Drakes to do. And they did once or twice. But in the end, I mean, even the Elder Dragon, you can just use it as a tool to force a fight. And I mean, a strategy that we saw coming out a lot in China through the days, because we know that's a region that loves to fight. And now coming in here through, I mean, maybe through our Alda meta, but definitely here in the EUCS.
Yeah, definitely here. Well, Game 2's in the books. We're going to take a quick break. We'll see you back here for more Challenger action in just a few.